When it comes to the living of a lifestyle of discipleship in 2021, I want to encourage you with just one thing, and it's one thing that I'm trying to live out myself and to really move from just head knowledge down into heart knowledge. So one of the things that really bugs me about the Christian life is you look around at all the other people living their Christian lives and it seems like they're all doing it better than you are. And I was having a conversation with a coworker the other day, and we were talking about how as we walk down the road of discipleship, we feel like we've got all these practices in front of us. We've got all of these different things that we can do, boxes to check. And it's like we're the only ones who are terrible at checking off those boxes and putting those practices into play in our lives. And especially like at the start of a new year, we have so many plans, so many things that we want to do. We want to start new habits, get all of this stuff in place. And then about the time January 14th or 21st hits, the first couple of weeks of January are over, you've already had a few failures, and why even try anymore? Because then you look around at other people and they're doing it just as well, if not better than you are. And I think the trap is to think we have to have this perfect right now. That's one of the things that we're trying to really do at Daily Growth Discipleship, is to not only help others see the trap of that, but to really enact it in our own lives. And one of the things that I struggle with a lot is legalism and a desire to perform and live up to a certain standard. So for me, the goal of discipleship has to be falling in love with Jesus and the relationship with Jesus. If it's not that, it's going to be something based on my desire to perform and live up to a certain standard. Now, the good news is I don't have to achieve perfection in that relationship right away. We're talking really about trajectory and not destination right now. We've used that word a few times. I think Daniel M. had a podcast conversation with us where he introduced that. But really what we're after is trajectory in the relationship. And so as we walk down the road of discipleship, living out our lifestyle in those everyday moments of life, one of the things that we really need to keep in mind is God loves me right now as I am, and not some idealized version of me that's 10 years more mature than I am right now. And Brennan Manning was a huge proponent of that. If you haven't read the Ragamuffin Gospel, you should definitely go check that out. It's one of my top favorite books of all time for discipleship and living the Christian life. But realizing that God loves me as I am right now, and not some idealized version of me, not something that I should be, is a very liberating thought, because it means that I don't have to measure up to this idealized version of myself so that God will accept me. It's not the condition of the relationship that I have with Him. That's why knowing your identity is one of our top steps in creating a lifestyle of discipleship. It's because if you don't recognize your identity as a child of God, if you don't recognize that He loves you and that He accepts you and that He wants the best for you, then it's going to be like you're playing catch up your entire life. You're always trying to be better so that you can be accepted. And the truth is, you are accepted as a child of God now. And the reality of the Christian life means that as you pursue that relationship, you will naturally start to change your behavior. You'll naturally start to change the way that you think and act. And it's like when you're hanging around a group of friends for a long time. When you first start hanging out, you do things your way, you laugh your way, you tell jokes your way. But the longer you stay together with that friend, that group of friends, the more you all start to act like each other. The same thing happens in our relationship with Christ. When we hang around Him, when we spend time with Him and pursue the relationship, we naturally begin to act and think more like He does. And so when it comes to the living of a lifestyle of discipleship in 2021, I want to encourage you with just one thing. And it's one thing that I'm trying to live out myself and to really move from just head knowledge down into heart knowledge, is that God loves me as I am and not as I should be. And that liberates me to just walk with Him through the entire year. It allows me to have a heart of gratitude, accepting and being thankful for what He's given me in the moment. And when it comes to looking at all the other people who are doing things better than I am, it takes performance off the table. I don't have to worry about how everyone else is doing, because I can be so in love with Jesus and I can be so closely walking with Him that stuff doesn't matter. And the way that I perform isn't necessarily the one thing that I'm going to be measured by. What I'm going to be measured by is, am I on a trajectory? Am I pursuing relationship with Him? And the performance, the measuring up, the check boxes, all of that stuff starts to take care of itself as you get that one thing figured out. Now, there are a bunch of tools and tricks that we can use to help ourselves along the way. I mean, behavioral science has taught us a lot about the way that our habits are formed, and I think there's a lot of value in putting those things into practice. But man, the foundation's got to be recognizing your identity as a child of God and resting in that. And that's the one struggle for me in 2021, and that's what I want to really enact in creating my own lifestyle of discipleship this year. So I hope you'll join me in doing that, and rest in God's grace today. Don't allow the way that other people are performing to get you down. Don't allow the way that you're performing to get you down. And rest in God's grace and your identity as a child of God today.